Welcome to Fairy Dust TV. I'm your host, Jen Burton, romantic fairy godmama for smart, successful single women around the world. And today we are talking about the topic, does online dating work for women? I make it no secret that I love online dating for my clients. Absolutely 100% love it. But I also know that online dating doesn't necessarily work all the time. And there are lots of different reasons behind it. But I do want to say before we get started that 100% online dating can work for any woman. But today we're going to talk about the reasons why it doesn't work and what you can do to remedy those reasons or not fall victim to those reasons. And I actually have 6 reasons today why online dating won't work for women and what you can do about it. So the first one, and this is the big one. This is one of the biggest reasons why online dating will not work for a woman. The first one is that you have a crappy, bland, so-so profile and pictures. You will hear me say this over and over again. There is no need to have a crappy profile or crappy pictures. And if you're not going to put any effort into your online dating experience by working on your profile or by putting together some good pictures of you, and I'm not talking about dated pictures either, then there's no reason you should be doing online dating. Now, I know you might be thinking, but Jen, have you seen the guys' profiles? And I'll acknowledge that yes, guys typically don't put together great profiles either. And I'll touch on that topic in a minute. But you, lady love, if you want a great experience online and you really want it to work for you, then you can't skip out on this. Now, the good news is that I have a program that addresses just that. And you can go to Irresistibility and get the first 2 chapters for free and start working on putting your fantastic profile together. Now, I know you might be thinking, but Jen, I don't like to write, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell you again, please, for the love of all that it is adored, do not do online dating unless you take some time to put together a good profile. It does not matter. You don't have to be a fantastic writer. What you need is to have a little bit of imagination. And Irresistibility has several ways it will help you write your profile. So it'll make it very easy to do. And then you're not one of the women who have a bland or boring profile. Now, what does a bland or boring profile produce? Most of the time, it produces inbox crickets, meaning you're not hearing from anybody decent in your inbox. And when you do, it's just kind of like, meh, nobody really interesting, nothing to connect to. And that's because men don't have anything to connect to you in your profile. Now, also, if you have dated pictures or pixelated pictures, you're going to get a lot of guys asking you, is this what you really look like? Whereas when you go through Irresistibility and you get decent, really great pictures for your profile, that's going to change. They're not going to be asking you all the time, can you please send me a picture of this? I need to know if this is really you, because they can see clearly that these most likely are current pictures of you. They're not pixelated and they're representative of different pieces of your personality. Then you combine that with the great profile and they can see that you're a woman of substance. So you're going to start to reduce the crappy responses that you get. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to eliminate all of them, because there's always that guy who, you know, the mass messages that guys will send out sometimes, and it's so annoying. I get it. But you're going to greatly reduce them, and you'll also be able to filter your own messages better, because you're going to get a higher number of quality messages from men, and you'll be able to tell right away whether a man is just sending out a mass message or not, even if he's been a little bit sneaky about it, because you can tell whether or not he's read your profile when you have a quality profile put up. Okay? So again, we'll talk about the guys in just a second, but for you ladies, absolutely 100%, you need a great profile and pictures. Go to Irresistibility, get the first 2 chapters for free. Now, when online dating doesn't work, number 2, and this is a big one, when you're playing the online dating game haphazardly, meaning you're not following online safety guides, you are not worried about the dangers of online dating. And I don't want to harp a lot on this, but I want you to be the safety girl. A safety girl is one with good boundaries. Now, I'm not talking about being hyper vigilant and where you can't even function as a human being in an online dating world or in the real world because you're so hyper vigilant and hyper over focused on safety, but you do need to follow the basic safety guidelines. And that's one of the things that Irresistibility does cover. You need to do online dating safely, in a safe way. And one of the safety points that I want to bring up is if you are a single mother, don't talk about your kids, their genders, their ages, things like that in your profile. That's all that a man needs to know in your online dating profile, is that you have kids. That's it. Okay. And you can also go to my video, Single Mom Dating, and it talks a little bit about what they do, what they need to know and when they need to know, because that's a safety issue. Plus, it's also a romantic issue that if you're learning to be an adored woman, you should learn how that unfolds and plays out. All right, let's move on to reason number 3. You see online dating, this is when it doesn't work. You see online dating as a all or nothing tool, meaning if this is where you're putting this is the basket you're putting all of your eggs, you're going to have a tough time because you have made it the end all be all of your romantic connection. It's the same thing when you have put all of your eggs in the basket of that one guy and you've focused and made him your entire world before he's committed to you. Online dating, you have to remember, it's a tool. It's a fantastic tool, but it is not what makes your love life happen. You are. What's going on in your life does. Now, with that said, I'll give you a couple footnotes underneath that. One of the things I want you to think about is when you're online dating, if you're having a really shit-ass day, take some time and come offline, because we tend to attract a lot of things, even in online dating, when other things in our lives are going really, really poorly. So if you're having a really bad day and you hate men, you hate life, take a couple days off from online dating. Remember, it is a tool. It is an opportunity for you to meet men. With that said, also remember that online dating does have the largest pool of single men who are raising their hand to say, you know what, I'd like to date too. Okay, number 4. This is one you won't hear many people talk about. And I probably will get a lot of shit from guys about this, but I don't care because this is really important. One of the reasons online dating doesn't work for women is because so many women get online and they allow men to dictate the pace of how everything goes online. So, to be honest, there are a lot of guys that are getting online and they're playing a numbers game. Okay, they figure that it's really about the numbers. The more women that they can meet, the faster they can assess who would be a good fit for them. Or if they're online to just do their hookup game, that's the way you play it. Okay. A woman, on the other hand, most of the time when she's going online, especially a woman in her 30s, 40s, 50s, that most of the time, or women that come to me as well, are looking for something more substantial, long-term relationship. Which means if you're going at his pace and not asking him to follow yours, meaning he says you guys like do a couple text chats and then he's like, okay, you want to meet, but you're not really ready and you agree anyways, you're violating your own personal boundaries, and that puts off a desperate energy about you. Whether you're saying it or not, you are out of integrity with yourself. And if you're out of integrity with yourself, it doesn't have a lot of growth potential, that relationship that you may or may not start. So what I'm going to suggest to you, and regardless of guys, and you don't have to tell them, by the way, don't go up and say, okay, well, I'm going to take this at my pace. But if a guy suggests, hey, I want to meet you tomorrow, you can tell him, you know what, I appreciate that you want to meet me tomorrow, but I'm not comfortable quite yet meeting you. How about we have a few more conversations online, maybe then a phone call, and then maybe a date. And if he has an issue with that, guess what, girlfriend? You've just saved yourself a world of hurt, of dealing with a guy who has no patience, okay? Or possibly has other things that are seriously wrong with him mentally. So you need to think about, what is your online dating pace? It's not just about his. Don't worry about whether or not you lose his attention, okay? Because any guy that is worth your time will honor your comfort level in seeing him. Let me repeat that. Any guy that is worth your time dating will honor your comfort level and when you want to see him, okay? Which means there are women I have worked with privately that have taken months to meet a man, okay? Months, if they so choose. And then some that have shortened that time frame. I'm not saying you have to take months, but what I am telling you, it's really important that you start thinking about what is your comfort time frame in meeting somebody offline once you've been talking to them online. Plus, if you do decide to spend a little bit more time online and engage there, I love a man who can actually entertain you there. You know how giddy you feel when you're expecting a message from somebody and you know it's going to be fun and there's going to be thought put into it and he's making an effort to connect to you? That is so much sexier than having to do that back and forth, that really quick flying back and forth and okay, let's meet each other and see if it works out. Plus, another little secret, what most women don't realize, is that if you spend more time with him online, he is more likely to step up his game for the first date. And instead of just doing the whole first coffee date, which I personally don't like, more likely to do an activity or go out of his way to set up something fun for you. That's a really important tip, okay? So let's move on to number 5 of when online dating, can you hear my notes there, does not work. Number 5, very important. You're already convinced it's not going to work. So I have women come to me. They tell me they have these preconceived notions. Either they've done some online dating and it didn't go well, or they've told me that they're the type of woman that doesn't want to meet their man online. But if you have decided and you are committed to that it's not going to work for you, then it's not going to work. Plain and simple. If you, on the other hand, are a little bit skeptical, which is fine. Skepticism, healthy skepticism is always fine. But you go into it as an opportunity, as a land of research to see what the possibilities are. That's a completely different scenario. And the intention behind it will set you up for something much better and much more magical. But if you've decided, hands down, it's not going to work, you're already convinced it's not going to work, it's just like, I'll do it anyways, but I already know it's not going to work, then you're right. 100%. It won't work. That will be, something that you need to address. And again, it's one of those things. If you've decided it's not going to work, don't even try. Don't even waste your time. Don't even go to Irresistibility and set up the profile, because you're right. It won't work. All right, number 6. All right, so one of the privileges I have is that I have been able to see a lot of the men that my girls engage with online, the women that I work with. And I've also had the privilege of helping women discover the undercover hotties in their profiles. So here's the thing, I mentioned before, men suck at doing profiles. They suck at picture taking. They suck at putting profiles together. Every once in a while, you'll get a really great one, but for the most part, men suck. And I know it might sound like a double standard that we need to put up a better profile, blah, 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 but it's more for you than it is for him. It's more for your experience, okay, that I ask you to do that. But here's the thing. The piece of that is that I see so many women who are basing whether or not they'd like somebody on merely his photo. So remember earlier I was talking about women having good photos, but nothing to substantiate the photos. So they'd attract a lot of guys who didn't have anything substantial behind them. And that's such a boring, I don't give a shit how hot he is. If he has nothing going on upstairs or nothing going on in his heart, who gives a fuck about him? Really, it doesn't matter. There's no long-term relationship basis if you cannot connect on another level that is not physical. And I know I sound really passionate about this, or maybe even a little angry, but I am, because it's so aggravating to listen to women talk about chemistry from somebody that they're just gauging on from a picture online. You need to look into his profile. And one of the things I got good at was pulling out pieces of this guy has something interesting about him. The photos were secondary. Okay, everybody thinks that photos are primary, but when you're looking at men's profiles, the photos are secondary to what's in the content of what he has written. Now, Again, a lot of guys are very sparse about stuff. So if you find anything, just a little nugget, have a conversation with him online, okay? See if there's any more. Ask him some thought-provoking questions. In Irresistibility, we talk about that as well. Ask him something, engage him, see if he gives you something to run with, see if there's something, behind that he can substantiate who he is, because every man has something yummy. Make you wet and weak in the knees, yummy, that he has that peace in him somewhere, okay? Every man does. And you neglect that if you're just looking at his photos and assessing your chemistry off of his photos. I will tell you, some of the men that, okay, my husband is very, very gorgeous, but some of the other men in my life have not been what you would physically, most women would go, oh my God, yes, he is so hot. And they have made me feel things that I didn't know that I could feel at the time. So don't base everything on looks. There are men out there that you would never look at them and go, you know what? He's going to rock my fucking world. And he will. He will, because there's depth to him. He will know how to touch you and touch your soul, your heart, your sexuality in a way that no man physically hot could ever think of doing. And then you'll start seeing him in a way that he becomes hotter and hotter to you. So one more piece of this is that I have seen this happen time and time again. A lot of guys actually look better in their pictures than they do they look better in person than they do in their pictures. Now, I have seen the opposite happen, I know as well. But give them the opportunity. Find the undercover hotties. Do some detective work like I do for my women. I've had several marriages happen because I've done that for and oh, this is really important. I forgot even to mention this, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this up right now. Get off of your phone to look at pictures. You need to actually go on your desktop, a big desktop, so that you can see photos. Those little handheld phones make it difficult sometimes to really see the photo, and you might see things that aren't really there, or you can't see. So when you are looking at photos, and I am telling you to look at photos, yes, but make sure you're looking at that on a desktop or on a laptop, on a frame big enough to actually see, because those smaller photos can make guys look a lot worse than they actually do, okay? Well, lover girl, those are 6 huge reasons why online dating will not work for you, and 6 ways to remedy that as well, if you are willing to do a little tweaking. That's what I've got for you today. I will see you next week on Fairy Dust TV.